Hello and welcome to Vedic Astrology. In this quick video, we will talk about placement of Jupiter in the sign of Aries. Now, Jupiter is given a very esteemed position in Vedic Astrology because it is a planet which represents the kind of bliss you receive in this life. Now, obviously, every planet in your chart has a special significations, but Jupiter is one planet which shows true joy, true happiness which you obtain in your life from various sources. So it's the joy which you get when you are playing with a small child. It's the satisfaction and fulfillment you feel in your life because of a true and meaningful relationship. Now, Jupiter may or may not give you wealth and money. Jupiter may or may not give you high position. It may or may not make you successful in terms of worldly matter. Jupiter is not a transactional planet. It doesn't believe in transactions. It is, on the other hand, the planet which shows true joy and true bliss in the life of a human being. And that is one of the reasons why Jupiter is considered very highly in Vedic astrology at least. And in this quick video, we will look from a practical perspective some of the most important effects of Jupiter in the fiery sign of Aries. So what is Aries? Aries is an active and fiery sign. It is much like the fire of the jungle, which is actively and at a very fast pace growing. It is not a contained fire. And if you closely see, the basic nature of fire is to transform things from one state to another. Like if you put wood into fire, fire would turn it into ashes and smoke. And ashes and smoke just does not resemble anything like wood. It is a complete transformation. And that complete transformation theme is especially pronounced in Aries because it is an active fire sign. The element of fire, the nature of transformation is highly predominant in this sign. And if you see Jupiter has many significations. As we saw, it represents the bliss and joy in your life. It also represents the wisdom and knowledge. In relationship, it shows the elders in your life. And Vedic astrology especially says that in a female chart, Jupiter is the true representation of husband, and we will also see what you can expect in terms of relationship and husband when Jupiter is in Mars, or in actually Aries sign which is ruled by Mars. But the very first tendency which Jupiter and Mars predominantly gives is that this makes people aggressively seek knowledge, and they also use that knowledge as a tool to dominate and find great success in life. See, it is the basic nature of this fiery sign that they would be seeking with great aggression anything new, anything, in today's world, especially with the new economy where knowledge is everything, where information about various subjects is more critical than ever before. In this scenario, this placement actually gives knowledge of multiple fields. And due to that knowledge, the person becomes able to successfully climb the ladders of success. It's a tool for domination for them. See, many people use knowledge as a means to serve the people, and that is the primary nature of Jupiter also. But when Jupiter is in Aries, the first tendency which these people have is, yes, acquire knowledge, but use that knowledge as a means of promotion. And since this is ruled by Mars, which is a very aggressive planet, there is a predominant tendency in these people to debate about various subjects, or do arguments, counter arguments, and more so not just for discussion, but again as a tool to show their knowledge. And in ancient India, there was this whole structured paradigm which was known as Shastrarth, which basically meant great pandits, great knowledgeable gurus would discuss with each other on a certain topic, which could be spiritual or otherwise, and within a certain parameter, they would argue, counter argue, and someone will be declared as the winner of that discussion or debate competition, which was known as Shastrarth, which literally means that discussing various points learned from ancient scriptures. So this placement of Jupiter, especially in the fiery sign, and fiery sign, as you probably know, are also the Dharma sign. They belong to Dharma Trikon, which basically means things which are right to do. So yes, they are aggressively seekers of knowledge, and they also have tendency to acquire knowledge of various fields, also of religious scriptures. And generally, if the placement of Mars is good, even though they get, they have a lot of pride in themselves, they have a lot of proud about the kind of knowledge they have acquired, but generally good placement of Mars makes them use this knowledge for betterment of society, but not before they use it as a tool to dominate themselves. Now, we discussed in the very beginning that Jupiter is not necessarily related with material success. Jupiter is more related with the inner peace, the inner bliss, which is, you can say, as the true success of a human life. But yet, any placement of planet in an active sign is generally closely associated with a lot of activities in life. And as you can see, people who are successful in worldly affairs are the people who are highly enterprising, people who are able to do many things. If you see a story of any successful person, you will also see that he failed 10 times more than he has been successful. And the basic reason why a person becomes successful in the worldly affairs is that he does endless activities. He keeps on doing activities even after failure. And Jupiter in an active sign of Aries represents that behavior. It gives that tendency, it gives that energy in the person to keep on going even after failures, even after oppositions. Because especially Jupiter in this fiery sign of Aries is not known for, just making friends. It also gives a lot of competition and enemies in life. Yet, the enterprising tendency in them makes them keep going. And that is actually very good for earning success and money and high position in the external world also. Now, one very interesting thing is that Jupiter is the planet of generosity. It shows how freely you can do things for others. And Aries is highly active, almost like a jungle fire. And the placement here gives a certain tendency when the generosity of a person can become overboard. They can end up spending without any control. And let's say some other factors which represents expenses in your life, like the 12th house lord or the 12th house planets in 12th house, if they are differently placed, then even in those cases, because the primary karaka of generosity is Jupiter, there will be a certain generous nature or certain areas in which people with this placement will be extremely free-handed. And if the 12th house is also not well placed, then they could become, very impulsive buyer kind of people. They like something, they just buy it. Now that typically happens when 12th house, 12th lord and Venus is supportive of that fact. So placement of these planets have to be closely watched. Now one thing which this placement or people who have Jupiter in Aries needs to be careful about is the hastiness in the nature. There would be a certain impulsiveness, especially if Saturn is not aspecting this Jupiter, remember this, or if Saturn is weak in the chart. If Saturn is very strong, because Saturn is the planet which shows control over your urges, control and thriftiness is shown by Saturn. So either Saturn has an aspect on Jupiter or Saturn is very well strongly placed in your chart, then it's a different story. But otherwise, the fundamental nature of Jupiter in Aries would be that it gives a very quick nature. They might go to a car showroom and just buy the car. They may not think twice or thrice before making any even big expenses. And then even later, if they realize that they made a wrong decision, because it's Jupiter, because it is the planet of optimism, so what happens is, even if they make wrong decisions, they would try to give arguments and convince them and others that, oh no, it was a good decision. Then that is not because of anything else, but because that extreme optimism which is there in their nature. And this you can very easily find with people who do not have a strong Saturn or Saturn's aspect on the Jupiter. And friends, there are so many other things which can also be understood, but we'll probably look at more details and more specific examples when we talk about Jupiter in Aries for various ascendants. But for now, thank you for being with me. Please do like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.